Hi, welcome to the podcast. This is So Now What podcast, and my name is Carrie, and I want to welcome you to my first episode. This is going to be a podcast about creating, quilting, knitting, sewing, making things in general. So I want to welcome you into my studio. We're in my studio in Oregon. I'm about 30 miles outside of Portland, and I create every day. I have to create every day. If I don't, I go a little crazy. And so what I want to talk about is, first I guess I should introduce who I am. My name's Carrie. I'm 53. I'm married. I've been married for it'll be 33 years this year, 34 years. I should know that. Anyway, it's been a long time. So my husband, Jim, and, like I said, we live in Oregon and it's a great state and I love it. So, my experience is mostly in quilting. I made my first quilt in 2004. In 2005, I bought a long arm and professionally long arm quilted for 10 years. Last year in 2015, I retired from it. I had gotten to the point where it wasn't fun anymore. I got to the point where I felt like I just couldn't be creative anymore. My creative bucket was empty. And so I decided to leave it, to quit it. And it was the best decision I could have made because now I feel a lot more creative. I'm a lot happier. And I get to work on my own stuff. I get to make my own quilts. I get to knit my own things. I get to do for myself. And it feels really good. I know I'm lucky. I know it's unusual. And I'm so grateful every day that I get to do it. You know, down the line, things may change. I may have to, I don't know. I'm not going to think about down the line. I'm thinking about what today is. So today I decided that I wanted to try and do a podcast because I want to connect with you all. I want to connect with like-minded people. And I don't really feel like I connect with my quilt guild. There's not really a knitting guild or a knitting get-together or anything like that. So I thought, well, let me try this and see where it goes. So welcome again. And let me get to it. I want to explain to you the quilt on the back wall here. That is my favorite quilt right now. It's a quilt that I made a couple of years ago. It's an Allison Glass pattern called Feathers. You can get it online. There she is. AllisonGlass.com, I suppose. I made this quilt with just leftover scraps from various quilts that I had made prior to this. So it's just got all the fabrics that I love. It's got bright colors, which I really love. And it's got purple as a base, which I think everything should have purple in it. And you'll notice that as we go along, you'll see that I like very colorful things. You'll also see a lot of purple. So you'll know it's me. You'll know it's mine. So anyway, I made this quilt. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of quilts. I don't have hundreds of quilts. I've quilted hundreds of quilts. I don't have hundreds of quilts, but I certainly have more than I need. So recently, last 6 months or so, I've really started knitting more. And so I'll touch on some more of the knitting side of it because it's kind of hard to show quilting stuff. I may show some how-tos or something on quilting. I can't really do how-tos on knitting because I'm not that experienced. I want to try and knit some things that are a little more complicated. I want to try and knit a shawl, and I want to show you the fabric, the yarn that I want to make the shawl out of. I found out about this hand dyer who happens to live in my area, and I didn't know she even existed, which I think is kind of odd because she lives in my same little town. And she came and spoke at the Quilt Guild and had some samples of her yarns, had some samples of some things that were knitted up, and I fell in love. Her stuff is gorgeous. So she is Blue Moon Fiber Arts. Oops, hang on a second. Ugh, sorry. Blue Moon Fiber Arts. And so here's the yarn. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. It's so, oh my gosh. It's just so pretty. And I love to touch it because it's really soft and it's just so lovely. I want more of this. So I got this. This is from the Socks That Rock. And that's her yarn. This is this kind of yarn. I got the medium weight sock yarn. And it's 100% superwash merino. Approximately 405 yards. And it's 6 ounces. Then her names of her yarns are just so funny. This is Whirly Whirlaroo. And it's just got these beautiful shades of turquoise and purple and this lovely olive green. And oh my gosh. I mean, wouldn't that just make such a pretty scarf? And it kind of matches my quilt. So anyway, that's going to be my next cast on project. I'm looking for a pattern right now. And so I'm looking on Ravelry and trying to decide what I want to do. I need to find something that uses like sock yarn and about 400 yards because I only got one skein of this. I'm going to try something with winding this up. I have a Swift and I have a ball winder, and my ball winder winds 3 ounces. This is 6 ounces, so it's really like double what you would normally wind on it. So I'm going to try and jerry rig it and see if I can make it work and see if I can get a cake or ball to wind with 6 ounces. I may film it and show you. And if it doesn't work, then we can all laugh about it. And hopefully not go into tears because this is all a big mess. But for right now, it's just lovely. Just lovely. I tell you, it's awesome. So go to her website. I wanted to order a skein of everything. Her colorways are just gorgeous. And she really has lovely yarn. So go to her website and check it out. Okay, and now I want to show you the socks that I'm working on. I got one sock finished. I finished it last night. In really surprising colors for me, don't you think? Anyway, this is a yarn from Wisdom Yarns called Poem Socks. It was something in my local yarn shop that I picked up. I was looking at that time to make a shawl, and I picked this up because I felt like I had to buy something even though I didn't really find anything I liked. And so I picked this up. I'm not liking it a ton. It's got like all these little fuzzy things going on, and it kind of splits. It doesn't have a good twist to it, but I'm hoping that the socks hold up, and I hope because I tell you what, I paid just as much for this as I did the Fiber Arts yarn, and the Fiber Arts yarn is like tons better. But, you know, it's a pair of socks, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I made recently this cute little bag for my sock project. And so I want to show you. This is the little bag I made. And I put like this chartreuse yellow green color inside. And it holds my ball of yarn and a sock, you know, my socks and whatever really nicely. So the pattern for this is called the Expandable Bag Pattern, and it's by Rebecca Ruth Designs. I picked this up at my friend's quilt shop, Mama Made It quiltshop.com. I was in her store and I picked it up, and the pattern isn't written real well, but it's a pretty easy pattern to make and doesn't take a ton of fabric, and it fits a nice little project. You could probably do like a hat, you know, you're not going to be able to fit, like, I don't know, you might be able to fit a shawl in there because it's meant to expand. So maybe when I get my shawl started and those socks done, I'll try and use it for that. Who knows? Okay. Another project that I've got started, and I don't work on a ton, but I do work on it occasionally, and it's an Afghan. And I saw this pattern on Knit Picks. It came across, and I loved the color. I love the colors. Anyone see it? Can you see why I love the colors? I know, it's crazy, right? It's so bright. It's going to be really cool when it's done. This is almost a quarter of the afghan. I need to do another row of squares. But I thought, why would I knit an afghan? I'm a quilter and I have a house full of quilts. Well, it goes back to just having color and texture, and I love color and texture, and it's a pretty easy project. I am using Knit Picks Brava worsted weight acrylic yarn for this, which was pretty inexpensive. It's not an afghan that I plan on using a whole lot. It'll probably just go on the end of the guest bed or something like that. So it should wear just fine, but it's just a colorful, fun project. It will take me a long time because it's kind of boring after a little while, and then I get sidetracked with other projects. But that's kind of a cool pattern. Oh, and the pattern name is Hue Shift. And so it shifts from one color to the next, you know, and throughout the whole quilt. And then there's some turquoises in there and all kinds of fun colors. So that's going to be a really fun one when that's finished some year. I'll try and make progress on it. Another thing I do knit, and I've knitted a lot of, is Chemo Caps. I usually use an inexpensive yarn, not because I don't feel like chemo patients need a more expensive yarn. It's just, it's a donation, and my budget can really only handle inexpensive yarn if I want to produce a lot of them. And they're for, you know, they're going to be washed a lot, and they can't really be wool, and they need to be soft and all that stuff. So my latest find was this Lions brand ice cream yarn. They say it's a DK weight. It's more of a light worsted, so I'm kind of treating it like a worsted, I guess. I don't know. To me, it seems thicker than a DK weight. So this is the first hat that I made. And I got this pattern from on Ravelry, and it's called the Swirl Hat. And the pattern is written for fingering weight yarn, and I just followed the pattern for a youth and cast it on 96 stitches and used a size 5 needle, and it'll still fit. It'll fit like a teenager probably. It's not going to fit a little kid. But that's the beauty and fun of making these hats, these Chemo Caps, because you're not making it for anybody specific. So whatever size it turns out to be, someone is going to fit it. And this is just a regular beanie, real basic beanie. I've got enough. This is what's left after making these 2 hats. So I have enough of this to make another hat. So I'm going to make another hat in this. And then I've got a couple skeins in different colorways that I'll make. It's really soft because I think it's meant for babies. So it's really soft and the colors are pretty fun. So that's what I've got working on right now as far as knitting. I'm kind of, I can't say I'm in between projects for quilting because I always have something going. But right now my focus is going to be on getting my boys' quilt done. Quilted, and then I'll work on the binding. So that's what this podcast is going to be. It's going to be me sitting here rambling, kind of doing a show and tell. This is what I'm working on. If I find some new things, I might, share that. I might do like a video me trying to wind my giant ball of yarn. Maybe some tips, some tutorials on some quilt things. I've done some videoing of me long arming. It's a little hard because to attach the camera to my long arm kind of gets in my way of where I need to see. In order for you to see what I'm doing, it has to be in the way that I can't see what I'm doing. And the camera shakes a little because the machine vibrates some. But it's kind of fun. I like watching other people quilt, so maybe somebody would like that. So I might do that a little bit. And so I will just kind of go over all that kind of stuff. I plan on doing a podcast once a week, and that will give me time, hopefully, to have something different by the next time you come back. Maybe it'll go 2 weeks. I'll have to see. Because it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to come back and go, hey, I made another hat, and that's it. I want to have time where I've got some things happening in between. So I hope that you come back. I hope I don't seem like too much of a dork that you're not going to want to come back. And I do appreciate you taking the time to even watch this episode. So subscribe if you want. You can find me on Instagram I'm Carrie_S, and it's CARIE, 1R. And so I post things on there. I'm getting a little bit better about posting things. You know, knitting. It's knitting and quilting, and when it gets to be summertime and I do a more hiking and stuff, it's going to be that kind of stuff. So it's, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting to me. So if it's interesting to me, maybe it's interesting to somebody else. I don't know. So please come back and check it out. Hopefully this will get a little more polished as we go along. But, you know, this is who I am. I'm kind of a goof, and this is going to be the way it is. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.